This is our video for our Lesson 17 vocabulary words. Our first word is desecrate. This should be familiar to you because we saw it at the end of Romeo and Juliet, or at least we talked about it at the end of Romeo and Juliet, for CP students at least. Paris thinks Romeo has come to the Capulet tomb to desecrate Tybalt's grave. Obviously, it's something negative because Paris and Romeo end up getting in a fight and then Romeo kills Paris. If you desecrate something, you are damaging a holy place, you are treating it with irreverence, you are vandalizing it, you are violating it. The opposite would be to consecrate. If you consecrate something, you make it holy, you set it apart for special use. Picture that we can use to remember desecrate is this sad picture. We've got a cemetery, I believe this is in Israel, and unfortunately some people have come and desecrated these tombstones by putting that symbol of evil, the Nazi swastika, on these graves to dishonor the Jews who are buried here. Our next word is pedagogue. This is a funny word, but it is for something very simple. Mrs. Workman is my English pedagogue. So right here you can get the definition. It simply means a school teacher or an educator. So I put a picture from one of my very favorite movies, kind of a movie that inspired me to become an English teacher, Dead Poets Society. Picture isn't real great, but Robin Williams is an English teacher in this movie, and he is teaching English at an all-boys prep school up in New England in the 50s. And so in this picture, he's reading them some poetry, and he is using his many voices that he was well known for. So he was their English pedagogue. Fiat. Now, you're probably thinking car, but that's not what a fiat is. In this sentence, Adolf Hitler gave the fiat that all Jews were to be exterminated. So this is a noun, and it means in an official order. It's usually coming from somebody in the government or somebody in authority or somebody who has power. A decree would be a synonym. Authorization would be a synonym as well. So, since I'm a Star Wars nerd, I put this picture for Fiat. If you know the plot of Episode 3 in Star Wars, this is when Chancellor Palpatine gives Order 66, and I'm going to call it Fiat 66, to he orders all the clones, the stormtroopers, to kill all of the Jedi. And unfortunately, Anakin has gone over to the dark side. So he is a part of that mass holocaust of the Jedi. Next is fluent. Hopefully you know what this means already. Professor Destry could not find anyone who was fluent in Kiwi, a South African click language. Of course, if you are fluent in another language, you are able to express yourself easily and clearly. You are well versed in that language. The opposite would be inept. So a little picture here would be of a person, and in their mind there are different forms of hello in different languages. I doubt that anybody would be fluent in this many languages, but I know some of you are fluent in other languages. Marcella, I'm sure, is fluent in Spanish as well as Oriole, and of course Leo is fluent in Chinese. Our next word is aloof. This is an adjective, and we've got a girl who's remaining aloof, Gabrielle, after overhearing friends talking about her behind her back. This is not a good situation here. So if you act aloof towards someone, you are reserved, you're distant. And of course, if you hear people talking about you, you're going to remove yourself from them. You're not going to want to be around them, and so you probably will act aloof. You kind of want to make it seem like they're not bothering you, so you detach yourself from them. You act cold towards them. You're remote from them. The opposite would be warm or friendly. So again, I know I used this in the last video, and cat lovers, I'm sorry, but cats are aloof. They act like they could care less whether or not their owner pets them or is around them, unlike dogs who frequently want their owner's attention and they do not act aloof or remote. Next word is melee. This is actually a synonym for a word we had earlier this year. It seems that every November, a melee breaks out when consumers try to buy the latest electronic game. So this is a noun. When they're talking about November, they're probably talking about Black Friday because so many people are out shopping, and unfortunately sometimes melees break out. This happened, I think, a couple of years ago at a Walmart on Black Friday, where people are arguing, they're fighting about getting to the store in the doors first so that they can get the best deal. Anyways, melee is just a noisy, confused fight. It's very chaotic. Fists are flying. Skirmish would be a synonym. Fracas, one of our earlier words this year, would also be a synonym. So I put a picture of two soccer teams. It looks like a melee has broken out, and you've got people, some players trying to stop it. It looks like player number 2 is trying to break up this melee. Our next word is fidelity. This comes from the Latin word fidelis. When the captain ordered the crew to abandon ship, their fidelity turned to mutiny. So that's the opposite context clue. If sailors go into mutiny, they are going against their captain. They are not being faithful to him. So fidelity is faithfulness. It means loyalty, devotion. The opposite is treachery. So, if you know anything about the United States Marine Corps, you know that their motto is Semper Fidelis. Okay, semper means always in Latin, and fidelis again means faithful. So, always faithful is that motto of the Marine Corps. Always faithful to serve the United States of America. Next word is personification. Now, of course, we've used this in literature. Sometimes it can be used in a different context. By abandoning all the standards of decency, Hitler became the personification of evil. It's like he's evil incarnate, a person or thing that represents an idea. So I put a picture of Voldemort. If you are a Harry Potter fan, whether you've read the books or seen the movies, or at least some of them, you know that he basically symbolizes the Satan figure in the stories who is trying to destroy anything good, including Harry. Our next word is hilarity. Of course, just use hilarious to help you figure out what this word means. Basically, hilarity is the noun form of hilarious, which would be an adjective. Uncle Buster slipped on a banana peel and hilarity ensued. We're going to see ensued in a minute as another vocabulary word. It just means gaiety, joviality, mirth, which means happiness, merriment, or glee. People are having a good time if hilarity is in the situation. The opposite would be sadness or misery. So the picture I put is one from Elf because I love that movie. There is a lot of hilarity in the movie. Here, Buddy the Elf is eating spaghetti, which he wants to make sure he covers with syrup. Next is ensue. So here is the word ensue. If the infected animals are not quarantined, an outbreak will ensue. So this is a verb. Something is happening, and it just means to follow as a result. To result. The opposite would be to cause. So the picture I put here says study. Verb, this is obviously sarcastic, the act of texting, eating, and watching TV with an open textbook nearby. Well, if this is the way you study, then most likely a bad grade will ensue. A bad grade will be the result. Next is bias. Hopefully you know what this word means already. The political group was so consumed by bias that even its simplest instructions were imbued, using a word we had earlier this year, with spin. So bias is a prejudiced view either for or against, a preference. Partiality, favoritism would be words that we would use as synonyms. So oftentimes we see this in politics, Unfortunately, we see this in the media a lot of times. So here's an example of this. Two Newsweek covers. The first one has a picture of Mitt Romney, who ran for president in the last election almost 4 years ago against Obama. And if you look at the headline on the Newsweek cover on the left, it says the wimp factor. Is he just too insecure to be president? So giving us a negative view of Romney, whereas the next cover criticizes Obama's critics. Why are Obama's critics so dumb? So obviously in favor of Obama. So there is bias favoritism towards Obama. Next is rambunctious. Again, hopefully you know this word already. The rambunctious puppy leaped high in the air and landed with its muddy paws on Shanna, an innocent bystander. If somebody or something like a puppy is rambunctious, they are acting in an unruly manner, they're uncontrollable, they're wild, they're disorderly, they're boisterous. A lot of times I think of the Lost Boys from the Peter Pan stories. The opposite would be calm. Pacific is a word that means calm, also tranquil. So, hopefully, you guys have seen, or maybe you know the story about Marley and Me. And this has a special place in my heart just because I love labs. And when this came out, I had a yellow lab. And so, here's a picture from the movie where Marley, this very rambunctious yet lovable yellow lab, destroys their couch. He's out of control. He destroyed many things in their house. So, he was a rambunctious puppy. Next is pariah. Marley worried that wearing the wrong clothes would make her a pariah. The other girls would look at her and they would make judgments, and they would not want to have anything. They would not want to have anything to do with her because they're so shallow. But if you are a pariah, it means you're a social outcast. You feel like you don't fit in. It's almost like you're an exile from everyone else. You're an outsider. The opposite would be insider. So here's a picture which perfectly illustrates this. We've got a crowd of people, or symbolized by these figures, and then you have the one person symbolized in gray to obviously reflect the sadness this person would feel about being outside of the group. Nobody wants to have anything to do with this person. Our next word is gyrate. This is a verb. Stock prices gyrated wildly, and brokers failed to detect any valuable market trends. They can't determine if it's going to be a bull market or a bear market because it keeps changing, it keeps fluctuating, it's going crazy. And so, gyrate is to rotate or revolve quickly, to spiral, to revolve or whirl would be synonyms. So here's a picture of somebody gyrating. Obviously nothing to do with the stock market, but this girl has a bunch of hula hoops around her, and so she would be gyrating wildly to get these hula hoops to continue rotating without hitting the ground. She's gyrating and so are the hula hoops. Next is cavort, another verb. A surprising number of clowns emerged from the tiny Volkswagen and cavorted about the ring. If you are cavorting, you're leaping about in a sprightly manner. You're romping, you're frolicking, you're prancing, you're capering. So I think about dolphins in the water. They're cavorting together. They are having, it seems at least, like they're having a good time, frolicking through the water, jumping, leaping together.